Mr. Michael the Count Bisping. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. Pleasure to talk with you.
You as well. So you are the former UFC middleweight champion, UFC Hall of Famer, Tough Three winner, actor, commentator. I saw you on a game show with these crazy souped up cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit here and list your accomplishments all day long. I have to know, what is the driving force that inspires you to pursue your passions and keep pursuing them?
Yeah. It's pretty simple, really. It's my family, my wife and children. I want to give them the best life possible, and I want to try because I know how hard it is to struggle in this life, and sadly a lot of people do. And it's a cruel world out there, and just living and getting by is tough. It's hard, so whilst I'm around, I'm going to try and do everything I can to make sure my family are well taken care of. That is the driving force. That was the driving force for getting into fighting. That's the driving force for now. I mean, I could rest on my laurels and take it easy. My wife's always complaining. She's like, Michael, you're working too hard. You got to start saying no to things. There's not enough hours in the day for me right now. But I'm like, listen, and maybe it's my old school working class mentality. It's like, hey, listen, while these opportunities are there and people still want me to work for them, I will do that. Make hay while the sun shines.
I absolutely respect it. And it sounds like your why is something that will sustain you. Like, it's not going anywhere. It'll forever be there. And that beats any kind of motivation you could ever hope for, really.
Yes. Yeah, it really does. Thank you.
So your consistency is unrivaled in the sport of MMA. It's downright remarkable. You're probably aware of this, but since you turned a pro in 2004, you fought at least 2 times every single year until you retired in 2017. And that's wild. Like, I don't even know if anyone else has ever done that. So what are, for you, some of the tools or coping mechanisms that you developed over the years to kind of help you get through those days where you're not motivated and you're banged up and you still have to show up?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question because, the fight night, and talking about the fighting side of things, the fight night's easy. It's easy to walk out there. I mean, that's when you have fun. The training camp's the hard part. On fight night, you walk out there, there's 20,000 people in an arena. You get to go to work. Hopefully you win the fight. They're all cheering for you. At the end of it, you're given a big, nice check. You're rewarded handsomely. You're the man of the moment, all that type of stuff. That's great. That's easy. The hard part is when you wake up on a cold, miserable, wet Tuesday morning and your body's aching from head to toe and you can hardly walk, and you got to go down the gym and there's a bunch of guys waiting there to spar you / all beat you up. There's no crowd cheering for you. There's no check at the end of it. There's no adoration. There's nothing. And it's just that grind day after day after day. But it's like anything in life, a lot of people look at the final result. They see that someone maybe that's successful and they think, wow, he's got it easy. Look at that guy. They don't see the hours and hours and years of sacrifice and dedication that has gone into it. So yeah, if anything's worth doing or having, it's worth fighting for, literally, I guess, in this sense. And, I always, and again, it goes back to my family. I always wanted to provide for them and give them the best life possible. And of course, for me also, it was, I felt like I was living the life and being who I was always destined to be. I was good at fighting. That was my gift. And I found that, I harnessed it and made it work for me.
Yeah, your life is a great example of what's possible if you drop any excuses that might pop up and just really dump your all into your art.
Thank you.
Becoming a UFC world champion is one of the most badass accomplishments like on planet Earth, right? And doing that with one eye is a superhuman feat, if you ask me. I got to know this though. After winning the belt, did you go on a "I told you so" tour and rub it in the face of all the doubters and the naysayers?
Well, yeah, I do a podcast called Believe You Me, so maybe I did on there. But and then the UFC kindly sent me on a world tour, so but I never did that. I never went, I told you so, but I did kind of feel like that internally. And in fact, after the fight, I jumped on the ring and I screamed out, "Fuck you," part of my language. And that wasn't just directed at my opponent, who totally dismissed and gave me zero chance of winning the fight and mocked me the whole time leading up. That was also to the wider world. And I talk about this in the documentary. I talk about how I was written off so many times throughout my career and nobody gave me a chance and everyone doubted me. And they said, oh, he's not good enough. He's not strong enough. He's not fast enough. He's not athletic enough. He's just not skilled enough. You know, there's no way this guy's going to do it, you know, and but I had some key support individuals, my wife, Jason Perillo, my coach, obviously my parents and things like that. But the wider world did not give me a chance of achieving any kind of success, you know, but, you know, if you're lucky enough to have some, you know, you only need one or two people that believe in you. If you're lucky enough to have that, then I've got to live up to that and I've got to do everything I can. And yeah, it felt good at the end. You know, it felt good to get there. The long, old-fashioned way. There's no shortcuts for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for the record, if you go back and look at the Bloody Elbow staff predictions for UFC 199, you'll find that I'm the only person that picked Michael Bisping to win the title. The only one, just for the record.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate the confidence. Thank you.
How about this? I got to know, what was more satisfying for you? Avenging the Dan Henderson loss to defend the title, or avenging the Luke Rockhold loss to win the title?
Oh, I mean, both in different ways. I mean, obviously becoming the champion of the world and beating Luke, that was great. You know, but Luke beat me fair and square. Dan Henderson was on all kinds of testosterone replacement therapy, which was a loophole, which was fair at the time, you know. But he then went, it's not fair, but I mean, technically it was legal. It's not, you know, it's not morally correct. And then long after that was outlawed, he was still fighting. All these people they were using a loophole basically to cheat and take steroids. And then after that, he made me unconscious on the floor, kind of his logo. Do you know what I mean? For his gym, it was me unconscious in like a silhouette of him flying above me, about to deliver that second blow. So it was always nice to get that rematch and put him in his place. But of course, it wasn't an easy fight. Round 1 and 2, we connected with the H-bomb again, and of course, the entire training camp was avoid the right hand. But as my old boxing coach says, you don't go in the rain without getting wet. And he built a career on that right hand, you know, so God bless him. So, yeah, no, they were both good for different reasons.
That's fair enough. You've done a lot of great things in your career. And on top of being consistent, one of the great things is just your gift of gab. You've always been someone who can sell a fight, and there's always interest around your fights, no matter who you're fighting. And I think some fighters just don't have that. So the people who are maybe more introverted or shy, or who don't really speak well, do you have any advice for them on a way to kind of build their following when they don't really have the personality they like to put out there?
Yeah, no, it is a tricky one. And I know exactly what you're talking about there, because the last thing people should do is go out and be fake. You know what I mean? Or try and put on a persona, because the public can tell. They can see right through it, and it just comes across as corny and kind of cheesy, and it just doesn't work, and it has the opposite effect. So just be true to yourself. When you're in the octagon, you know, when we fight, it doesn't come around very often. So you got to make the most of that time. And I always say this, you know, if maybe it's not a call out, and I'm not saying have a rehearsed line, but maybe have some kind of message, maybe have something to say. That is as big as it gets in terms of being a mixed martial artist. You're in the UFC, you've just been victorious, and now you're talking to me. I'm joking. But now you've got the microphone in your face and the whole world is watching. And if you don't know who you are prior to that, if you're a young up and coming fighter, you know, give the world watching a reason to remember you. Hopefully the fight was enough, but then still they want to connect with the person. You know what I mean? The fight's one thing, but there's a whole night of fights. They might watch 40 fighters competing, you know what I mean? And the fights are on every week. Give the world watching a reason to remember you. Have a message, have something about yourself, even a call out. I don't know what it is, but don't just stand there and go, one word answers. You got anyone you want to call out? No, I'll give you whoever the UFC give me. It's just like, next, get the next one on. No one cares about that. But as I say, you can't be fake. You know, be real to yourself, and all the best and good luck.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And I think you're right about being authentic and being genuinely yourself. People gravitate towards that and they respect that. So yeah, you are the guy that people are talking to now after they win their fights.
No,
Just
more Joe Rogan or DC. I was just being kind of funny there, but
I
now
mean,
and
you
again
still
it
you
is
still
me.
do it too. You still do
Yeah.
it too. And you've settled in as a UFC commentator, which is no easy job. Like it might look easy for the people at home. They're like, oh, you're just watching fights and talking. But like they don't understand you're live. You got a producer in your ear. There's so much subject matter to know and cover. And then you have the internet trolls who are overcritical and always talking trash, whether they're right or wrong. There's always going to be that. What do you think is the hardest part of the gig of commentating?
Oh, that's a tough, it is a tough job, you know, because we are talking live for 7 hours on TV, off the cuff, no script, you know. I mean, the play-by-play guys, they have reads they have to do, but for the color commentators, we're literally just watching and just, you know, chatting away for 7 hours. And you're right, sometimes there's a slip of the tongue. Sometimes you say the wrong fighter's name, you know, because you're live, you're in the action, there's people getting knocked out, so why you get excited, and people straight away, oh my God, he said this word wrong. It's like, dude, I was just talking for 7 hours. You try that and not make one mistake. But I love it. I'm so passionate about it. I really do love it. The research is challenging, you know, because I take that very seriously. I want to give the first fight on the prelims the same respect as the main event, because those guys, you know, maybe they're making their UFC debuts, the first fight of the night. There's not many people in the building or whatever. And maybe there's not too many people watching on TV, but for them, that is their main event. That is their world title fight, you know? So I want to make sure I know enough about them and try and portray their story to the public, you know? So it is challenging. It takes a lot of time. You know, whenever I'm commentating on a Saturday night, Monday through Saturday, it's all commentary research. So for a guy that was never very good at doing homework at school, that's a challenge.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot. I mean, you got to watch fight tape on every guy and like
fight
you said,
tape,
the story.
Google their name, look for interviews, go to their social media, you know, look for podcasts, you know, because you want to find out not just them about a fighter, you want to talk about them as a person, what they like to do, who they are, their family situation, maybe what hardships they've been through in their life. Fortunately, the UFC do a great job of providing us with a lot of information, and they arrange fighter meetings. So on a Wednesday or a Thursday, we sit down with the fighters and we get to ask them questions and stuff. So that's very helpful. As I said, UFC offers a lot of support, but you know, we're going to do our own investigative work as well.
Yeah, definitely a lot goes into it. And I'm sure the fighters appreciate that also when they see you putting in the time. It's like UFC Hall of Famer Michael Bisping is like interested and cares about what I'm doing. Like that's got to be huge for them, you know?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I've never looked at it from that perspective. For me, I always feel I always feel like my life is gonna, you know, like I'm on borrowed time with everything. So, you know, I when I was in the UFC, when I was fighting, when I was competing, I was like, this could all come crashing down tomorrow. You know, and I don't want to go back to being flat broke, because trust me, I was flat broke. We had nothing. And I don't want to go back to that. So I'd always work my ass off. I was always the first one to get to the gym, the last one to leave. And I guess I still have that mentality now, you know, because nothing's owed to me at all. You know what I mean? And I have to prove myself every single time. Every time I go and commentate, I've got to prove myself. And then sometimes afterwards, I'm not happy with the job that I did. I'm very, very critical of myself, you know? So, yeah, but I guess that kind of work ethic is what got me here in the first place.
Yeah, that is very true. No one can ever doubt your work ethic. That's for sure. Is there a group or like rotation of other commentators that you feel like you worked best with?
To be honest, they're all great. So I'm not going to sit there and, you know, single people out. But generally, I work with Brendan Fitzgerald and Paul Felder. Some more occasionally John Anik. You know, I love working with them all. They're all kind of different, but I have a lot of great time. Obviously, DC's hilarious. Who else? We've got Cruz is his own style, but me and Cruz have a great relationship. Might seem like we hate each other on air, but we're just messing about. You know what I mean? Cruz is awesome. Yeah, all of I'm very lucky, and even the production team in the background, as you say, they are in your ear a lot. And this is just a quick thing I want to say. People always say, oh, look at that, Bisping's being told what to say by the UFC, he's being a shill. They have never ever once given me an opinion to say. We have free reign on the microphone to say whatever we want. You know, what was it the other day? I was talking about Conor McGregor, that, oh, he's been paid to say that by the UFC. Because I said, the reality is, agree, disagree. Looks like McGregor might get a title shot upon his return. You know, I fall more in the disagree, but it ain't my company. Do you know what I mean? So you got to put up with it. And I said, the reality is, I'm not no McGregor fanboy, far from it. I fall in the opposite side of that spectrum. But you can't deny the greatness that he had, and he has got a chance of beating Charles Oliveira. I said that the other day because Charles does get hit, and McGregor can hit, and that's just a sad reality. I think he'd have a tough time getting to McGregor, to Oliveira. If he had to go through Makachev, Dariush, bloody Chandler, Gagey, people like that, that'd be way harder. I wouldn't favor him to win those fights. But stylistically, Charles Oliveira probably beats him, let's be honest. But you never know. You never know. And I said that on a podcast. And again, he's been paid by the UFC to say this stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? They don't do that. This is my opinion. And by the way, it's an accurate opinion. So shut up.
And I mean, if anyone knows anything about Michael Bisping, his opinion is his opinion, and he's going to share it.
Exactly. Well, exactly. And the UFC have never once, even throughout when I was fighting for them, they never said, hey, we want you to say this. We want you to act like this. We want you to do that. They've got 500 guys on the roster. They don't micromanage everybody, believe it or not. You know what I mean?
Seems pretty cool with the free speech and letting his fighters say whatever they want to say.
Correct. And look at Sean Strickland for crying out loud.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Hey, who was it? Patrick Henry. He said, I might not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it.
There you go.
I'm all for that.
Me too. Me too.
Fellow commentators, John Anik versus Brendan Fitzgerald in an MMA match. Who takes it?
Oh, that is a good one. Well, John's going to be faster because he's small and he's wiry and he runs every single day. And in fact, because he runs every day, he's going to have better cardio than Brendan. Brendan these days, there was a while there he was trying to become like some kind of jiu-jitsu badass, but now he's gone back to playing the cello and the piano and stuff like that. Brendan's a wannabe artsy-fartsy kind of guy. Do you know what I mean? He comes in and he's playing some bloody music in the change room and he's singing away. And I'm like, oh, Brendan, just stop it. We're talking about cage fighting, okay? I know you wanted to be, talking about theater and arts and stuff like that, but we're going to go commentate a cage fight. So shut up, put your cello down, put the piano down. So for those reasons, I got John Anik all day long.
Awesome. I love your back and forth.
I love Brendan, by the way. He's hilarious. And he's got such a great sense of humor because I bust his balls all the time with that kind of thing. And he comes right back at me in his own way as well. No,
it's definitely fun for us at home watching. Yeah. It's definitely a good time.
He's great to work with. And I've got to say, he's a true professional, as is John Anik. Both of those guys inspire me a lot. When you see the research and the prep that goes into what they do, and certainly their passion for the sport as well. Yeah, it's beautiful to see.
Well, aside from commentating, you have a new documentary coming out March 22nd. It'll be on digital and on demand. It's called Bisping, the Michael Bisping story. And I mean, there's guys like Joe Rogan and GSP and Tito Ortiz and Dana White, Rashad Evans, just really telling your story. And of course you as well. How did the idea for this film come to be? Did you reach out to someone else or did someone approach you?
No, it was actually, he's now a very good friend of mine, as a brother to me, Yaz Talat, and his partner, Gabriel Naporo, two guys that I've done some work with in the past that are very close friends of mine now. They run a company called Electric Panda, and they had this opportunity to make a documentary. And they said to whoever it was funding it, we really think the Michael Bisping story is something that needs to be told. So they approached me about it. And I wasn't sure, to be honest, but they said the team that they have in place are award-winning documentary makers. They had a great track record. We sat down and said, yeah, okay, let's do it. And it was a long, long process. We started this early 2018. It's now 2022. It's only just being released. So yeah, and so many people gave up time. There's Vin Diesel on there, Mickey Rourke, Michael Joe White, Scott Adkins. I mean, the list goes on. All the MMA talent, Luke Rockhold, George St. Pierre, Dana White, Rogan, and it's good. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's not, it's very much a warts and all, shall we say. It focuses a lot on the losses. It's not just, aren't I great? It's about the struggles that I went through. And I think a lot of people can maybe take inspiration from it because I've had a lot of very kind messages from people who saw it in Canada where it released first, said, wow, what a story. It's really helped me through my struggles. It's helped me to, to refuse to quit, basically, because that's essentially what I did.
And would you say that's what you want the biggest takeaway to be for fans who tune in is being
No.
inspired and overcoming whatever obstacle comes across your way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, everyone has a gift. Everyone's good at something. For me, it was weirdly enough, it was the fighting and martial arts, which is obviously is not for everybody. But I was able to recognize that and then put a plan into place of where that could take me and where I could go. What is the absolute ultimate of where that skill can take you? But now you got to get off your ass and you got to do the hard work. You know what I mean? You can't just talk about it. And I think everyone has a similar gift, not fighting, but most people are good at something, so realize what that is and dare to dream, because a lot of people laughed at me at the beginning. I said I was going to be a professional fighter. I know people were talking shit. I know people were saying, what's he doing? They're already broke. He's quitting work to become a professional fighter. What is he doing? But you got to believe in yourself, dare to dream. And if you're lucky enough, having a supportive wife in the background helps. And go for it, and don't let people tell you no. I hope that could be the biggest message, really.
Hey, fantastic. And your life really is a perfect embodiment of that. Well, how can people follow you on your journey? What are your social media platforms, your handles? How can people keep up?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, I do a podcast called Believe You Me. You can find that on YouTube and wherever you find podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, wherever you get podcasts. I don't know. And then I do I've got my own YouTube channel, Michael Bisping. So I do videos on there every day talking about, whatever's going on in the world, normally MMA stuff, give my opinions there. And Instagram, that usual Mike Bisping, I don't know, whatever. But I don't really like doing the plugs. So, but there you go. What else?
Well,
No,
fair
that's
enough.
about it.
Michael Bisping, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak with me. And thank you for dedicating your life to martial arts and for all the sacrifices you made. I mean, you truly are a legend. And I wish you continued success and prosperity in everything you do.
I really, truly appreciate those kind words. Thank you very much. Pleasure talking with you. And all the best.
You as well.
Thank you.